Previously on the Brick Separators.
My mock building career really started when I first attended Brick World Chicago.
Watched the video that he recommended, which was your recent Bricklink haul. I want to interview him for your Bricklinking experience. You received a box of parts.
But the one piece I really was looking for was the 2x2x3 octagonal brick in tan. Favorite themes, probably my favorite space theme, Life on Mars.
So let's talk about bad Bricklink orders, because your Bricklink haul was a little bit of a bad experience for you.
I would say about 20% of my orders have some sort of flaw with them.
And now, the conclusion.
Let's talk about packing, like your expectations of an order when it arrives, like how it should be packed in that. Because we've had, between sellers, we've had the debate, like, do you pack everything like single lot in one bag, or do you like pack things up in manageable bags, or the extreme, you put all of the parts in one bag, which I think we've all agreed that's not right, but like, where do you like, your order that you got seemed to be like mostly single lot bags, but
Yeah.
I think it's because you ordered a lot. There was a couple bags that had multiple lots in there, but what is it as you as a buyer are expecting when you get a Bricklink order?
So I've gotten pretty much everything you've mentioned for
Yep.
sure. It makes me feel pretty awesome when I open that order that has every single part, no matter how few of bricks I bought, packaged individually. And I have had a few of those, but it is completely ridiculous and unrealistic to expect that. I've seen a bag this big that had a single one of those chrome coins back from the 90s, early 2000s, single coin in a bag this big. That was the level of dedication of this seller, and mad respect to him. It was not necessary. It was a used piece. It was a crazy. But I've also had sellers that get a very used looking gallon Ziploc bag and put everything in there.
Yeah.
And I get it. You're putting used bricks that you pulled out of a big tub from someone's attic in there, and they maybe don't need to be treated with the same respect as, say, new bricks would be. But I would like to be treated with some respect and have the sorting made a little easier on me. So obviously that's completely out of the question. Most of the time I find something in that middle ground. I actually have an example upstairs of an order that came yesterday, which did a good job sorting them mostly down, I would say, by almost by category, if you will, category and color. So I had plates of a certain color in a bag together, bricks, etc. You get the idea. I had ordered a lot of Bionicle-esque parts. I'm trying to put together some Alpha Team sets back from 2004. And I had long sold off all my Bionicle, thinking I would never use it again. And so I have to replace some of those parts. But I was ordering, 2 or 1 of each Bionicle part. And so they put all 10 together in the same bag. And they're so easily identifiable, that does not bother me at all. Even if there are 5 different elements in that one bag, it's so easy to pick them out. It's no big deal. And they're all roughly the same size.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I expect, and I think I appreciate the most is when you get 2 or 3 different parts in a bag. That's totally fine by me, so long as there's some method to it, and they're easy enough to differentiate from each other.
Interesting.
Yeah. Definitely. definitely old, used and new parts need to be separated, and
Yeah.
that I've always had that be the case. Thankfully, I can't imagine if someone would dump them in the same bag. That would be so horrible. Um, so yeah, I don't expect perfection, but I appreciate it so much when I see it, because it is beautiful when I open that perfectly packaged bag, with every single piece in its own, maybe down to a bag this tiny. There is an art to that, but I really have no idea why the seller is doing that. They are wasting their own precious time at that point. But I will leave them a very happy remark in their feedback saying, like, I don't know why you did this, but it was gorgeous to open this box and see what was inside.
I've never
Um,
felt comfortable with my packing. Like no matter what method I've done, I've always felt like somebody's gonna hate it, right? Like I used to do
yeah,
one lot, one bag, and I was like, I hated it because I was like, I felt like I was wasting all this plastic, right? Like I wasn't
sure.
being good steward to the environment. And so then like I went a little bit, maybe a little bit too far the other direction and put too many lots in. And then I'm like, oh, are they going to be mad at me because they have to do too much sorting kind of thing? And so like I'm trying not to do more than 5 lot, like on really big orders, no more than five
Yeah,
lots per little baggie. That way there it's like you said, it's easy to pull out. And I trying to be cognizant of like maybe pulling tiles out or things that might get scratched easier into a separate bag and put those together. But it's hard, it's hard to know. Like,
definitely is. And everyone sorts differently. I think that's the
right,
hard thing, because
Right.
there's people who sort by color and there's people who sort by type. As someone who sorts by element type, I appreciate it when the bags are, categorized, right? When you get the plates together, because I'm going to the plate section of my sorting system to put those away. And that works. That works for me. But at the end of the day, I'm not too picky about the packaging. Sorting is something I expect to do as a builder, and it's part of the process. So long as you make that easy for me by including, no more than like 6 lots in a bag, it's totally fine.
Right, because you got to verify it's all there. If too many
Mhm.
lots and too many of the same color in the same bag, it's hard to verify that you got everything, or it takes more time for you. So that's
Mhm.
something we think about. That I think about is always putting, not too many lots, and I try to keep the same type of parts but different colors together.
That's a good way to do it too, just so that they're really easy to pick out.
Yep.
For sure.
in your unboxing video that you posted, you were looking at some dark tan sloped wedges, I think.
Mhm.
And you made a comment about how they were a little bit scratched, and you said, "Oh, these probably came from a bulk lot that the seller had bought." Unpack that a little bit. Like, was that like, what was your experience of that? Was that like, oh, I wish I didn't get these, or I could, I can still use these? Like, where's the line of used parts in terms of their actual use, right? And their wear and tear, to where you don't want to use them, or you didn't want to receive them.
Yeah. That's a difficult line to draw for sure. But I'm gonna try to explain it the way I look at it. As someone who has a very used collection, most of my collection, well, at one point it was most. I buy so much stuff now that percentage might be shifting, but most of my collection is my childhood collection, which was played with very roughly, very aggressively. It was very loved, and I have no shame in that. At the end of the day, it went into a giant, tote and got horribly scratched up.
As Lego does. Yes.
That's exactly, like some of my black tiles, especially, it pains me to look at them because like I know that was mine and I treated it like that. But that is my collection. And so I've become very understanding of how pieces can end up in that condition. However, I still expect a certain quality when I'm paying the same amount for every brick, even if the brick is advertised as used. That being because most sellers will say in their description, like, any brick that is too used or cracked, I will get rid of. And so when I find a cracked brick, especially even in something I very much expected to be used, that is completely unacceptable to me, because a cracked brick is not a usable brick. It is the clutch is ruined typically.
Right.
So cracks are no good. But especially on some pieces when I can see the scratch from a distance in a build that I'm intending to display, that's when it's gone too far too. So I don't know if it was the last order or perhaps the order before that, but I've got a thing for these octagonal bricks. But I had some of those bricks. I believe they've got the 8 studs on the one side, right? In black, and just horrible scratches, like scratches you could feel,
Mhm.
when you run your finger over. And even though I paid probably like 20 cents for that piece, I feel that was unacceptable when in the seller's description, he said, I do my best to throw out bricks like
Yeah.
this. And yeah, so yes, I understand the bricks will not be brand new out of the box. They're going to have marks and a few scratches on them, but there definitely is a point where it's way too much and this should have been pulled. And when I paid you money more than it cost to produce that part, that's like, I don't feel so good about that.
Yeah.
Would I ask for a refund on a 20-cent brick? Would I even bring that up? Probably not if there's only one in the lot. But if they all look like that, I want, like, you should have left a description on this brick said very well used.
Yeah.
And then you dislike the store and don't go back.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah. I've been getting into selling more used, right? And so I'm buying the bulk lots and I'm going through the process of sorting and all that. And you want to be, as a seller, you want to be efficient, right? Like you want to sort fast, but you also want to catch things. Like for me, my biggest fear is, do I not catch the fake Lego, right? Like the Tyco brand is, for me, is the hardest one to catch because it feels like Lego. It looks like it's got the nice shine that I like Lego, but then like it's obvious when you look at it though, like at the top it says Tyco on it, but like that one to me is like the scariest one. And Lepin too. Oh man, Lepin.
You see
Even
Lepin a lot?
a little bit, yeah. I've been
Ugh.
seeing it more and more lately, and it's very hard to catch as well because it has on the stud the LP on the top,
Yeah.
which is
It looks like the Lego logo.
yeah, it's very hard to catch. So I know I'm gonna like ship you something like that one time, it's just gonna be like, it's gonna really tick somebody off. But yeah, the scratches to me as well. I always try to catch them, but I'll be pulling stuff out of the drawer to pack an order. I'm like, oh, how did this get through? Like, and I have to go find another piece to replace it. But yeah, it's very hard to catch everything, and
Yeah, and
especially
that's
with used.
Yeah, as a buyer, you have to be understanding. And it's frustrating to get these things, but so long as they're not consistent throughout the order,
Right.
I'm not going to call you out on it. And I don't
No.
think any reasonable builder is going to call out a seller on, a single error.
I think as a seller though, I would appreciate just knowing
Okay.
that I did that, right? Like you could say I don't expect anything, and I think me as a seller, I'd still refund you that part regardless, right? Like I think that's the least I could do is like, hey, you're not satisfied with this part, I can at least give you the 20 cents back. Like I know that's not a big deal, but like that's, to me, that's what I would feel guilty if I didn't do that, right? So I think we as sellers, like sometimes we send these orders out and they just go out into the void and we don't know, like, was it good, was it bad? Like sometimes we don't get feedback like on the order. We don't get, if we don't get feedback, we assume like it was a neutral, right? Like that's how I treat neutrals. Like I just don't get feedback. And so like, yeah, I would love to know a little bit more about like how the experience went and that kind of thing. So yeah, please just send a quick note and just say, hey, I don't expect anything, but I just want to give you feedback on your order. I think most sellers would take that great. There are, on the flip side, there are some sellers that would probably take offense to that and like just
Oh yeah.
yeah
That's what I worry about.
yeah.
Like they're going to leave me negative feedback because I called them out on their crappy part.
But does that affect you as a buyer? Like,
Jeez,
Yeah, it shows up on your feedback, but it doesn't take down like a percentage
I mean,
score.
if
don't
I give
know.
somebody money, are they really not gonna let me?
Yeah,
I mean, with instant checkout now, it's like,
Yeah,
who looks at buyers' feedback? And
right.
exactly.
They
That-
might block you. I mean,
Like
Yeah.
whatever.
who cares?
so the going back to that order too, you had a couple of parts where you had plates
Oh yes, of
stuck
course.
together.
Yeah.
And like I think most of us as sellers know that's faux pas, right? Like
There's
We're
just some
the-
obvious no-nos, and like stacking 10 plates on top of each other is not okay for anybody.
stacking 2 plates on top of each other is not okay.
I mean, they could have at least staggered them, right? Like,
Yeah, like that makes it
That's
easier
easy.
to count. Like, I don't know what advantage they gained by stacking them together. It's conserving space. Good for you, I guess.
See, and now they do that in
Oh.
the UK because they're trying to get it into like this thin box, right?
Yep.
Like the UK, they get like very cheap. They get cheaper shipping if they can like fit it into this thin box that goes into the thing. So they do a lot of that, like where they're putting parts together like that. But like, I'm assuming this seller was in the US, like where
Yeah, this seller was like from maybe like 100 miles away. It was just
yeah.
like, what are you trying to do?
and it arrived in a box, so like I don't think there was a space concern there.
No,
So
not even close. The box was way too big.
yeah.
So that's the only instance I've ever had of that. And I was just kind of dumbfounded, like, what? Why? This took you time to put all those together. It made it harder to count. It made me very upset. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's go back to your buying experience. Like, how do you and how you shop on Bricklink? Do you I get this feeling like you know what brick you want. You go to the Bricklink page, you find that piece, and then you shop by the stores that have the piece looking for high quantity and low price. Do you ever create a wish list and do like a buy all and see what stores are going?
Yes. The wanted list is probably Bricklink's most valuable tool.
definitely.
Especially I'm a big Harry Potter fan, right?
I didn't know that.
I grew up on Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. And so this is just a sliver, but I have a complete collection of the Harry Potter minifigures.
Nice.
And so that is very important to me. And so I only recently completed this, or we're getting close to completed. I have everything that is no longer available. That's the big thing. And of course, where did I find those? On Bricklink. So how do you do that? You create the wanted list of all the minifigures you don't have, and you find the store that has the most for the most reasonable price. And that's how I kind of slowly chipped away at this thing.
Mhm.
Was using that wanted list, trying to be as efficient as I could, because the shipping is worth a minifigure. In some instances, sometimes it's a little bit less, but the wanted list is huge, especially too now that I talked about rebuilding these alpha team sets, and I have a very specific list of the parts I need to complete these. And so you throw them on the wanted list and you find them. Another thing too, I've been working on some mini models to sell at conventions. It has a very specific part list. I have an entire list on Bricklink. So whenever I'm shopping at a store, if some of those parts, they show up, when I'm in that store, so I can kind of kill two birds with one stone, because those are parts that I don't need right now at this moment, but I constantly need them restocked, right?
Mhm.
So as I'm buying these things, does anyone genuinely need an entire collection of Harry Potter figures?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously not. But I do.
What's the most expensive Harry Potter? Is it the Dolores or?
It's probably Umbridge or that 2004 Trelawney too, both of which are actually on this one. So
Yeah. Maybe it's
these are both-
Trelawney, one of those. Yep.
Those are
Nice.
good ones. They are so hard to find, but quite awesome figures.
Derek, I wanted to point out his minifigure stand. He was able to move that around without it
Oh wow. It did
crumbling.
great.
Yeah, it didn't crumble.
Mine breaks. Mine's a lot bigger. Mine's huge.
Something fell out. Oh, it was the plant. Well,
Yeah, but-
this is
But
Such a-
your whole thing didn't just.
Well, that's just one section. If I can carry around one
Yeah,
section.
we got all the
Yeah.
sections. We're gonna get
Yeah.
real crazy.
Oh, nice.
These are the 2001 through 2003. That's pretty
Sweet.
cool.
What's the inside of that minifigure like, or is it the stand like?
So some of them, this one actually has a drawer to
Oh
store
wow! Look at
accessories.
that.
That's cool.
So this is
That's
the
a builder
advantage
right
of being
there.
a builder. I'll have to show you my fancy one. Now I'm just flexing now. I'm sorry.
I'm building a minifigure stand to do at conventions, and like the
Oh,
inner
sure. That's
the
a little
inner
bit of a game.
yeah, I'm doing it like on a 64 by 64 base plate, and like the inners are like, it's heavy. It's got to be like 20-30 pounds by now, you know, like
Yeah, want to make it transportable.
That is pretty sweet. I
that
like
is
that.
awesome.
Obviously we've got the four founders up there, but this one's kind of fun in that I've got these cranks on the top to
Oh,
open
that's
the door.
cool.
So it's
Oh, the
completely
owls?
flush. It's held in place by a magnet. I know it's really hard to see. It's all black on black.
One of the Lego magnets.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
all official Lego. But this has like, first of all, we've got like the owls, the pixies up
Wow.
here. But in the bags are the Harry Potter printed tiles, the stickered elements in this one, all my extra wands, which of course you get a lot of. It's just goofy stuff. The harp from the new Fluffy set, just things like that that are very specific to Harry Potter. I love this build from the advent calendar. I think it was
Oh, yeah.
last year, of the gramophone. This from the new Chamber of Secrets set, the Lockhart portrait, just all sorts of stuff that can only be used for Harry Potter that I just want to keep all together.
You ever watched Adam Savage's Tested channel where he does like one day builds?
I have not.
No, he's like a maker, right? Like, and he builds his own things, and he like sometimes builds boxes and stuff to like hold and display like certain things that he's built and collected. This reminds me of that, right? Like it's very intricate, like, you know, like he's thought of the details, like, you know, like opening up the back to be able to store something, you know. It's very much
It's
that
fun.
creative process there.
I mean, obviously, I love Harry Potter figures, so I just wanted a proper way to display them all, because I do use these in mocks from time to time, but I'm never going to use all. I don't want to know how many figures there are in this collection, but it's a point of pride. And I tell this to everyone, there's so many ways to enjoy the Lego hobby. For some people, it is the collecting. Some people, it is the building. Sometimes it's a mixture, right?
Or some it's the sorting and selling.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the hobby I got into.
valid.
yeah.
But
I'm not good with building. And
I'll never fit these all on. They just keep coming. There's so many sections. It's not like a Star Wars collection where there are 1,500 different minifigures now. But
yeah,
it's a little more
that's
manageable.
crazy. And
That's
that is crazy.
that's the only thing I sell are the Star Wars minifigures, because that is very easy money.
yes,
Yeah, for
definitely,
sure.
definitely. One of the mocks that I keep seeing in your videos that I hardly see you talk about, I think you pointed it out one time and talked about it, was the I can't remember. It's from Interstellar. It's the big ship, the big circular one. That one looks cool.
I love that thing. Unfortunately, that is back in my parents' house still. That is
Mhm.
one of the few that has not moved over, but I would love to make a video on that at some point, because that was when I branched off to out of castles for once.
Oh yeah.
So with that one, actually, you know, that we're on the topic of buying things, there are very few Lego elements that create that angle, and I couldn't tell you what angle that those segments need to be in to create that circle, but I'm not the math guy, but anyway, there is only
Well,
one
either is
type-
Derek, so don't worry about that.
there is only one type of joint that could do that, and made a Bricklink order to find those things. And so there again, when I need a specific part, especially a part that's no longer in production, go to Bricklink, find that part, and then shipping is going to cost, you know, as much as I'm spending on that part. Let's find some other fun things to bulk it up. That's how it goes. That's the process every time. It's a lot of, I enjoy buying Lego probably even more than building it. at this
Yeah.
point. It's a weird place to be in, but it's so fun because we talked a great deal about it earlier. But just uncovering the history, because there's so much crazy things to find. I'm finding bricks all the time that I still have never seen before, and I like to think that I have a pretty good handle on the parts inventory. But there's some things back from the 80s, 90s, even as recent as the 2000s, like from the Life on Mars thing, like. What is this stuff? Why did they make it? It's awesome. And that's what's so fun about Bricklink. You get to see everything. And then hopefully you buy it and put it to good use, even several decades later.
Whenever I build something, and like as I'm building this minifigure stand right now, like I always seem to commit to a part that is expensive or rare, and like it's going to take me forever, or it's going to like cost me in my house to like get this part in the quantity that I want. And right now, like the piece that I have is like a 1x4 by like 2 or 3 that's sloped on one side, and in blue it's very rare, and so like that's the color I need to do this. And I'm like, every time I build something, it's like that one piece I need. Do you run across that, or do you just substitute? Are you good at substituting something else?
I think this is like you're getting at the crux of what Lego is, or at least building is. But it's all about working within limitations.
Mhm.
And sometimes the dollar amount is the limitation. Like I'm at a weird point in my life, where I just graduated, moving. I don't have as much money as I would like to spend on Lego.
No, come on.
If I had won Lego Masters, we'd be in a little better
Yeah.
spot. I had 50 grand to spend on Bricklink, but we're not quite there. So sometimes, buying, like I was talking about that 2x2x3 tan octagonal column piece. There's somebody who's got 86 of them on Bricklink for $350.
Yep.
And yeah, it'd be awesome to buy all 86 of them for $350, but it doesn't work that way. And so it's all about finding how can you create that effect with pieces you have. And creativity happens there when you make something out of parts that you have, and you make it feel like something else. And I think that's an important part of the hobby. And yeah, it's awesome to have these cheater pieces from time to time and to use them. I feel like that octagonal column is totally a cheater piece, especially now. But I think overcoming that and utilizing some other bricks is just as satisfying.
Well, I think we've had a great conversation, and I don't want to keep you all night. So I just want to say thank you for spending the time and having a conversation. Hopefully you enjoyed not talking about Lego Masters.
Tremendously so. This has been awesome. I love geeking out with you guys about this stuff because it's a truly fascinating part of the hobby that I don't think a lot of people talk about. But this is yet, whatever side you're on, buyer or seller, this is something we all deal with. And we're all trying to make this work for each other. And it's very, very important. I've never met a Lego builder who didn't have to buy Lego first before starting.
Right. Yeah.
It is essential.
Yeah.
It was awesome hanging out with you at my booth there in Milwaukee. Hopefully I'm going to Chicago this next year.
Better
be there.
It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be there.
I'm not invited yet, but I'm working my way with the Brick World guy there.
I'll put in a good word for you. How about that?
Yeah, say I'm not coming unless Pop's Block Shop's there. No, if you can, I'll do my best, Will Arnett. Just kind of to pump. I want you to like give Bricklink sellers a little like 10-second pep talk. Just go.
Oh man, like on the spot.
Yeah.
My encouragement to all the sellers out there is keep doing what you do, but remember your audience, and that for builders, this is a really important part of what we do. Buying your parts is a big deal to us, and the condition they come to us in is really important. When you stack your plates on top of each other, you are not helping create great Lego creations. You are making me very frustrated, and I'm going to storm upstairs and go eat a donut because I don't want to build anymore. That's not the way you should handle.
Caleb will send Evil Will to your house, and
yeah, exactly, or worse. So like my encouragement is, don't overthink it by any means. The Lego community, I hope everyone realizes, is a really great community. They're forgiving, they're patient.
Yes.
And we're happy to let a few scratch pieces go by if that is the case, because we get it. Lego is small, you deal with a lot of it. But remember your audience. That's the big thing. Yeah, and that works both ways.
Awesome.
We're kind and compassionate, but we do hold our bricks and the sellers to a high standard as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Caleb, for doing this interview. It was amazing. I had a great time talking to you about Bricklink and your experiences there. I've learned a lot. I think one of the big things that I learned was like he's looking for stores that have 10,000 lots, and like he's looking for that variety. Yeah, well, I'm not there yet, so
I gotta get some more. I learned I gotta get some more tan pieces and dark orange uploaded. I have a lot of bags sorted of tan.
Trans green too, apparently. That's what got them
started. The sand colors that they don't really make, some of them.
Yeah, so I hope you guys found this interesting. Leave a comment. Like, what did you learn? What did you find interesting? What should have we have asked Caleb that we didn't ask? And tell us what you thought. So hopefully we can do more of these type of interviews and figure out the mind of our sellers or our buyers. When they come to the store. I thought it was very enlightening.
It was very, very good, very informational. So it was definitely, I'm glad we did it. But Ralph, that was a great idea you had. I gotta give it to you.
I have some every now and then,
Yeah.
All right. With that, we'll be back next month with some other great idea that I'll eventually come up with in the future.
Awesome.
All right, guys. See you later.